Hi, Julie Adler.
Hello, Rabbi Kano.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm really excited because here we are. We're talking about counting the Omer. So my question to you is, have you ever counted the Omer?
I actually have. I started last year because I follow a friend
Mm-hmm.
from high school who has written many books, and he posts on Facebook every day something relating to the counting of the Omer. So last year I followed it every day for 49 days.
I love it. And that's Alden Salavi, who's a great poet. And I love that you've been doing this. And so I guess my question to you is, when you're counting the Omer, like, do you have any big questions about it?
Well, while I understand when it starts and why it stops and the basic fundamental of it, my question is, what's the meaning of it, I think, today? And
Yeah.
of
But and I love it because it's a biblical commandment. So it's obvious what it meant then because it really marked the time of from the time of celebrating redemption, freedom from slavery in Egypt, and then the 49 days that we count until we stood at Sinai and received Torah, that we are commanded to count 49 days. And it's interesting that it's called counting the Omer. Like, why is it called counting the Omer? Omer is a weight, and it's actually the weight of manna. That a piece of manna weighed an Omer, and so it's this way of counting how every day we would receive an Omer of manna when we were on the desert journey. And then once we got into the land of Israel, what did we have to do? Every day for those 49 days, offer up the weight of what was manna, but now is our harvest because we're able to harvest. So just as God provided for us when we were wandering in the desert, here we are, we're making sure that we find a way to say, okay, from our harvest, we're going to offer this Omer, we're going to count it. And I think that what does this have to do with today is I think that just as they wanted to figure out, all right, life is pretty miraculous. And we sometimes receive these miracles easily. And sometimes we have to work for the miracles, like see what comes out of the ground and then make it into something that we can use. That's miraculous too. But then every day we have to make our days count by making sure that we're doing what we can to have miracles happen in our lives. And not only in our lives, but in the lives of the people around us too. And so I guess my question to you is, when you count the Omer, is there something that sticks for you that feels like it's especially meaningful when you did it last year?
Well, I think for me, what was meaningful, because I still am trying to understand a lot of it, was just doing something every single day for 49 days.
Yeah,
And
that
it kind
actually even just the practice of it. Well, and I
right.
love it too because the blessing, you say the blessing every day before you do the counting. And it's just literally counting the Omer. But there's a blessing that we say because it's that we're commanded in it. And then if we miss a day, it's all right. But then you don't continue to do the blessing. And for me, one of the things that I love that's a little crazy, but I love it anyway, is that it's that every week of those 7 weeks of counting the Omer, we actually say that there is a different spira or this different aspect of the divine that we are in some ways infusing in these days, like infusing this meaning into these days. And so there are 10 spherot of God, according to the Kabbalists, that we have this, this endless infinity aspect of God, the Ein Sof. And then we have this divine wisdom that also is then this divine understanding. And then we have loving kindness, and loving kindness that then is bounded with judgment. And then we have this perfect harmonious peace that then we also have this aspect of being able to be triumphant, but then there's also this aspect of being humble. And then there's this foundation that then spills over into this world, into this very accessible way of accessing God, the Shekhinah in this world. And so that each, those first three of that infinite aspect of God, the Ein Sof, and the divine wisdom, Chokhmah, and the divine understanding, Binah, that those are inaccessible even for anybody who is who's human. Even the people like you, Julie, who are as wise and good as they come, even you wouldn't be able to access those three highest sefirot. So then when we come to the time of counting the Omer, the first week is that chesed, that loving kindness aspect of God, that then this whole first week of Passover is infused with that. And then we get to judgment and boundaries and being able to have it so that things are guided in their place. And that's that second week of the counting of the Omer. And we continue to go on. For each week, we have this one sefirah that then is infused, that feeling of God, that divine aspect. We infuse in all of the things that we do in that week with that kind of intention, which is pretty amazing. And then each day in that week is infused double. So the first day is loving kindness in loving kindness. And then it's judgment in loving kindness. And then it's harmony in loving kindness. And each day it has that extra layer. So this week, we're going to start with this aspect of really trying to feel loving kindness in our lives for the entire week. So I guess, Julie, what I would want to end with is, what's one way that you think you might experience loving kindness and then also give loving kindness this week?
I think experiencing it will be, I think, to be participating in the second Seder after the Temple Sholem Seder with my family. And to give it, I think to be able to give some Passover meals to people who are in need in our congregation. I think you couldn't really do better than that.
Well, and I love that this week we're starting off for our first looking at the Omer and counting the Omer and this aspect of the Sefirah, which is loving kindness, that you're the first person that we're talking with to be able to see how do we infuse our whole community with more loving kindness. Julie, you do that so beautifully and so well. And thank you so much for all you've done to organize those meals that are going out to people in the congregation. And also just this aspect that you bring to the temple community each and every day. We love you, Julie.
Well, thank you. I love you too. And it's my pleasure, really, to do all of this. It brings a lot of joy to me.
So, Muadim L'Simcha, have a wonderful Passover season, and may this whole week be infused with a lot of loving kindness coming your way.